example, I'm not sure about how it goes with engineering, but in
Uh-huh.
architecture, parang whenever we do like a design project, we have to do like a presentation of it, or they call it in New Zealand a critique. I think here it's a Philippines, it's ano, it's a defense, a project defense or something like that.
Yes,
But
yes. Mm-hmm.
so basically, when we present our project, basically you have to know your project, your design to its core. And then if you know everything about your project, then okay lang, you can just express everything, you can answer any question. So parang it's the same
Right.
with Q&A. As long as you know yourself to your core, okay lang, you can answer any question then. So that kind of helped in a way. And then also the sleepless nights, I'm kind of used to that then. So yeah, there's been like small things that have helped me, subliminally helped me for pageantry. But then there's also
Mm-hmm.
been a lot of things parang I had to unlearn, you know? I had to unlearn a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things. I had to relearn a lot of things. But I think the
Right.
hardest thing for me, mm, probably two things actually. First, pasarela, kasi I've never really had to, walk a certain way. I've just walked the way that I
Right.
walk. And
Right.
then the other thing, I'm not like a makeup person. So I really had to learn how to do my own
Mm.
makeup, my own hair. And then every day, you have to do it. Whereas in New Zealand, I don't wear makeup.
Right.
Mm.
So how long did it took you to finally perfect your, I mean, you look good with your makeup right now. So obviously you
Thank
did that.
you.
For
It
a
took a
newbie, that's
while.
so good.
It took a while. I think that was one of my biggest critiques then. Like I think most people were saying, her makeup is chaka, her makeup looks makes her
Mm.
look old. They were saying all sorts of
Mm-hmm.
things. But it was all a learning process, and it was all about, taking in the opinions of other people and just trial and error talaga. So yeah, we got there in the end.
Right.
How
But
about you?
how
What
difficult?
would you think is the hardest thing for you back when you were in pageants?
Oh, nothing. I did it so
Everything is
perfectly.
easy.
I'm
I
kidding, but
love it.
I think with the help of all my sisters when I was training, and
Mm-mm.
just trusting your mentors, I think is one of the biggest help actually for me. And I keep
Mm-mm.
on every candidate that I get to talk to, I always tell them to just trust your mentor, because they know that they've been doing that for years. And sometimes, you have your own idea of what you wanted to do, but if
Mm-mm.
you just trust them solely and know that what they're doing is for your own good, parang some
Mm-mm.
sort of parents, diba? Sometimes you just question their decisions, but then
Mm-mm.
after the competition, you're like, tama pala, no? That's why they're telling me to do this and that. Kaya,
Yeah.
kasi matigas yung ulo ko eh. So I had to do it 3 times.
Sometimes you get super annoyed, you get super stuck in your ways that you don't see any other way of doing it, diba?
Yes.
Yeah.
But what was your biggest adjustment with, syempre, your industry was so different, and then suddenly you're in the eye of the public, and they just voice out whatever they wanted to say, and sometimes wala talagang filter yung mga fans.
Mm-mm.
So was it was it really hard for you adjusting to that, and especially recently after that one challenge, a lot of people took notice of you, and then now more people are actually obviously watching every step that you're doing, every post that
Mm-mm.
you're doing on your social media.
For me, I think since I was young, I've always had such a good support network, whether it's my friends or my family. And then now I also have, my friends and my mentors here in the Philippines. So parang I've always known nobody else's opinion matters, like all the negative
Mm.
things online, they don't matter because I have so many people who genuinely love and care about me. And then I also know, I sometimes I do see messages in my inbox saying mean things or saying like constructive criticism, but I think the
Mm-hmm.
best thing for me is to know that sometimes also the pageant enthusiasts or the pageant fans might also know better than me then because I'm new to this. So I've
Right.
had suggestions in my inbox that I've taken into account, and I know I've tried, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes things did work, and so I'm grateful for that. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the best thing. You just have to ignore the bullying, and then if you get negative criticism, just consider baka naman it might actually be helpful. Mm-mm.
See, maybe you can get some tips there.
Yeah, exactly. You never know.
Right? You'll never know. They're giving you free tips. Anyways, so today we're going to answer some questions from the fans because I know that everyone's so excited to actually to get to know you better since it's your first pageant and a lot of people actually was so surprised by your presence. One of them is my friend Maine Mendoza. She actually really suggested that I interview you.
Oh,
That's
really?
why I really tried to get your contact. Okay, answer some questions from your fans. Sobrang dami nilang questions for you, but I was able to pick some. First from, oh, this is your supporter. VVV for the universe. From
Mm.
a scale 1 to 10, how ready do you think you are for the triple V verse?
Hmm. How ready do I think I am? Baka like an 8, but I think this week of resting will really do me a lot of good. Me and the other girls,
Mm-mm.
actually. I think it will help us a lot to have that time to just reset and just take time away and then go back into the bubble and, go for it. But yeah, at
Do
the
you
moment,
think
I think
once you
my
step
8.
inside the bubble, you're 11 over 10?
Sana, we'll
Because
see.
you're well rested.
Lots of sleep, Sana.
Right. Is that the goal? How are you keeping yourself sane when you're isolated in a room alone? Are you alone? I
Mm.
think they have roommates.
No, we had one room to ourselves. And good thing because a lot of us
Oh,
girls had so many suitcases.
so many
And
things.
doesn't matter, I cleaned every day, I tidied every day. But you know how it is when you're getting ready in the morning to go to a shoot or to go
Right,
to something, and you just you're
right.
trying to find everything, and then everything ends up a mess again. So good thing, and we've been so privileged to have our own rooms. What was the question? Sorry.
what's keeping you what's
Oh, what's
keeping
keeping
you
me sane?
sane?
What's keeping me sane? Actually, every single night, Sam, Miss Paranaque, and Christelle, Miss Aklan,
Mm-mm.
we would always have like a video call together and would always like recap our
Oh,
day
that's so
and
cute.
take off our makeup together. So that really helped a lot. And then other than that, just because when we're in our rooms doesn't mean we're not busy. You know how it is. You always have
Mm-mm.
to be practicing
Mm-mm.
Q&A. You always have to be
Right.
practicing your hair and makeup. So I think I
Mm-mm.
was just too busy to think about the fact that I was alone.
What consumes most of your time whenever you're inside, when you're just in your room and not doing anything? Since
Mm,
there's so many things that you think you still have to learn, right? Because it's your first
mm-mm,
time. Do you
mm.
really spend most of your time in this one particular thing as a preparation for the pageant?
Yeah, I think for me the main thing is really I've been reading a lot, whether it's,
Mm.
history or current events. That's the
Mm-mm.
thing that I really need
Mm-mm.
to focus on myself. And then also hair,
Mm-mm.
because I think I've got my makeup down now, especially because in
Mm-mm.
architecture school, it wasn't just about using computers, it was also like painting and everything. So parang it's just like painting but on my face. So that was kind of
Right.
quick for me to learn also. But with my hair, I have so much hair. And so it's been a struggle trying to learn how to do that.
You have so much hair, so you don't use extensions anymore.
No, I don't actually. I bought extensions and then I
Wow.
realized I don't even need them. Yeah.
It's just too much. It's like another head in your
Yeah,
hair.
exactly.
From Kyle Larakman. With an advocacy like yours, what do you plan to do if you win the crown?
What
Maybe
I
you
plan
can
to do.
you can tell the people what's your advocacy first, and then
Ay, oo nga. Okay.
her
So
question.
because
Yes.
I studied architecture, I'm really focused on designing low-cost, sustainable homes for underprivileged communities here in the Philippines. That's the way that I want to use my
Mm.
degree, whether or not I win the pageant. It's the pageant is just like, parang like a trampoline for me. It's a way of like amplifying and accelerating the rate that I will be able to make a difference here in the Philippines, hopefully. So and now I've already actually started collaborating and partnering with other NGOs, and started to help them in any way that I can using my knowledge and my expertise. And I think as Miss Universe Philippines, hopefully, I think that's the main thing that I really want to push for, because I think that there's not enough focus on that here in the Philippines. I think it's a little bit neglected. And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
You probably know what Habitat for Humanity is, right? But
Right,
sometimes
right.
when I say it to other people, they're like, "What's Habitat for Humanity?" They're not aware of the work that people are doing or the
Mm-hmm.
work that needs to be done.
Mm-mm.
And so, yeah, the biggest thing for me is I really want to push my advocacy, and I want to not just talk about it, but I want to keep being involved, and I want to keep helping in the way that I can. Mm.
From what changed in your everyday routine after becoming a MUPH candidate?
Ooh. The biggest change for me, I am such a Lola. I used to sleep at like 9 p.m. or even earlier
Wow.
sometimes. But now I go to bed mga 1 or 2 a.m. and then I still have to wake up
Then
early.
what time is dinner time for you? 6 p.m. If you sleep
Yeah,
at
I like
9.
to eat early.
Wow. I That's like a farm life. I miss that. Once it's
Mm-mm.
sunset, everybody sits on their table and let's have dinner.
Yeah, it's
So,
not about the
what time
time,
do
right?
you
It's about the sun.
Yes, but what time do you usually wake up if you sleep at 9? You're an early riser. You
Around,
used to be an early
yeah,
riser.
around 5 or 5:30, which actually came in handy in the bubble because there was one day
Uh-huh.
that I had to wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning because I knew
Mm-hmm.
my hair was going to take long to do. So it was helpful naman being an early riser. Mm-mm.
So it's the sleep pattern. And especially time zone is different, is it? I think so.
To New Zealand, yeah, I think
But
like
it's not
four or
it's
five
not that
hours.
different, right? Yeah, just
Mm-mm.
4 or 5 hours behind. From Marco Uwu. What underrated places, products from Cavite would you want to showcase in the world?
I would really so as people might have seen in my tourism video, Cavite is known, and I'm so proud for it to be known as the historical capital of the Philippines. But people also don't understand that there's so much more to Cavite than that. That we have so many natural landscapes. There's so many things to do and
Mm.
see there. And a lot of people were saying to me after my tourism video, they were like, "Wow, I never knew Cavite looked like that. I never knew that there was, the hanging bridge, that there was so many, luscious like green spaces and everything." And
Mm-mm.
so I think those are the things that I would really like to push for, even, all the mountains and everything in Cavite. And then in terms of products, there's nothing in particular, but one thing that I think people will be surprised by when you drive through Cavite, no matter where you're going, there's always places along the road where there's like beautiful carved furniture or woven, like home decor and that sort of thing. And I think, that's something that's incredibly underrated, not just sa Cavite, but here in the Philippines. In New Zealand or in Australia, I also used to live there. All of the imported stuff like that always came from places like Thailand or Indonesia.
Right.
But the
Right.
Philippines really needs to tap into exporting those things,
Mm-hmm.
and proving to the world that Filipinos are so incredibly crafty and they're so incredibly talented in so many artistic ways. So yeah, that's what I want people to see, not just about Cavite, but about the Philippines too.
Right. But pre-pandemic, how often do you visit your hometown or the
In
Philippines?
the Philippines every year. Actually, it was really sad last year when the pandemic hit. That was the first time I hadn't visited the Philippines, the first year in my life.
Oh, but what do you
Mm-mm.
normally do whenever you visit? Do you just stay in the NCR area, or do you always use your time to see other provinces and beaches?
So, funny story actually. Up until I was around 12 years old, I think, all I knew about the Philippines was Baco or Cavite. We never left Baco or Cavite. We always stayed either at my mom's house in Cavite. She has a house there also, or at
Uh-huh.
my tita's house. We would always just, all sleep on the floor, parang like we're sardines, like
Uh-huh.
all stuck
Right,
together in
right.
one room.
Right.
I only knew Baco or,
So
and then
close.
yeah, we have such a big family then, so growing up we were always just together.
Mm.
And then when I was around 12 was the first time ever my mom, she took me to SM MOA. And it was the first time I had
Okay.
left Bacoor, Cavite. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, where has this all been hiding? Like, I was so used to Bacoor. I was so used to the province life. And then I came here. I was like, oh
Right.
my goodness. I was like, there's actually, so many things to do here in the
A
city. I was
mall.
like, I was like, Mom, why are you hiding this massive mole from me? Uh, so yeah, that's all I knew up until I was around 12. And then even after that, we really only just went between Bacoor or SM MOA or I think SM Mega Mall a few times.
Hmm.
And then it wasn't until I was around, I think, mga 16. That was when I
Mm-hmm.
started traveling the Philippines and I started going to all the different islands and provinces because I was like old enough to go and do it on my own. Because
Right,
my
right.
mom, it's hard for her to travel
She just
also, and
wanna
she said,
chill.
yeah, yeah, she doesn't need the extra stress.
Right.
Mm-mm.
So
So,
what's your favorite province by far that you visited?
oh, it's so hard. But my favorite island of them all is Camiguin. I think it will always be my favorite. Have you been there?
Mm, not yet,
No, it's so
actually.
beautiful. Kasi it's so,
Camiguin Islands.
so it's not completely developed. It's not really
Mm-hmm.
touristy yet, so it's still very
Mm-hmm.
raw and untouched. That's my favorite thing about it.
And we have a lot of those places around the Philippines too,
Mm-mm,
especially
that's
in
true.
Mindanao.
Mm-mm.
But
I'm still yet
because
to explore the
people,
far north and the far south.
right, but people are too scared sometimes to visit Mindanao because everybody believes that it's just not safe anywhere,
Mm-mm.
But it's
Mm-mm.
not like the whole Mindanao is unsafe.
Mm-mm.
Anyways, next question. What is something that you can be proud of as a Cavitania?
Mm. For me, it will always be my fighting spirit. I think that's so inherent in Cavitanias or Caviteños especially. And it's been something in me ever since I was not even born yet. So
Mm-mm.
when my mom was pregnant with me, they told her that I had been, she had had a miscarriage. And they were about to
Mm.
remove my fetus from my mom's stomach, and but then after a while she felt me kick and she felt me fighting inside her because they all thought that I had passed away. And so even back then when I was still in the womb, I was still a fighter. So I think that's the
Oh,
one thing I'm most proud of. And up until now, no matter what anything happens, but no matter what happens, no matter what life throws at me, I know that I can get through it. Not just because I'm a Filipina, but also because I'm a Caviteña, especially.